channel. Now in today's video, I will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of investing in the Zagreb real estate market and make comparisons with other places in Croatia. I will then give my opinion on whether it is worth buying real estate in the city or not. So let's firstly discuss the advantages. Now, number one, Zagreb, despite being the capital, has almost gone unnoticed by foreign investors. We obviously know that over a number of years there has been a lot of foreign investment on the coast, especially in places like Dubrovnik and Split. But less than 5% of foreign buyers choose Zagreb. All these facts would suggest that Zagreb has scope for growth in the real estate sector, given that it is a lovely city with plenty to see, including great monuments, numerous churches, historical buildings, and a wonderful cathedral with many religious artifacts inside. Now, the second reason is this: reasonable real estate prices. The average price of real estate in Zagreb is around 2,000 euros, or maybe just a little bit over per square meter, which is quite reasonable for an EU capital. Number three, I want to talk about decent rental yields. So on average, gross rental yields are around 5%, but you may be able to get a little bit more if you do your homework. Now, the yields are higher than in places like Split, where you can expect to get around 3.5% to 4%. So not bad on yields. Number four, let's talk about population growth in Zagreb. Now, in line with many other countries in Eastern Europe, Croatia is suffering a population decline. In fact, the population is expected to drop from 4,060,000 people in 2022 to around 3.6 million by the year 2040. In contrast, though, Zagreb's metro area population is expected to increase from 684,000 people in 2022 to 696,000 in 2035, according to macro trends. Now, as I say, a stable or increasing population will ensure prices should increase in the future. Number five, I want to make comparisons with other Croatian cities. So, average monthly salaries are about 30% higher than Split in Zagreb, but property is actually about 15 to 20% less expensive. And property prices are also cheaper in Zagreb than they are in Zadar, with net salaries in Zagreb actually being 35 to 40% higher. And prices in Zagreb are about half of those in Dubrovnik, yet net salaries are higher in Zagreb. Now, I think these comparisons point to Zagreb being an undervalued real estate market. Number six, let's talk about increasing tourism in Zagreb as well. So from 2015 to 2019, the number of tourist arrivals increased from 1,077,000 to 1,454,000. And when the pandemic is finally fully over, it is expected that these numbers will increase. And this is good for the Airbnb market. Number seven, Zagreb is in a strategic location. So within hours, you can actually drive or indeed get buses to cities like Venice, Milan, Vienna, Budapest, Bratislava, Munich and Sarajevo, and this should be good for trade and tourism going forward. Number eight, I want to talk about the excellent flight connections. So in 2017, a new passenger terminal was opened at Zagreb International Airport, and there are now direct flights to all over Europe, plus there are flights to Toronto, Seoul, Dubai and Doha, so very good connection-wise. Number nine, Zagreb has a highly educated workforce and pretty good infrastructure as well. So this highly educated workforce also has an excellent level of English. If you do go to Zagreb, you'll find most people do speak really good English, in particular the young. And infrastructure is also good as well. Zagreb actually has a great and fast internet connection. Number 10, I want to talk about safety. So Zagreb is a very safe city, and crime rate is actually one of the lowest in Europe, in particular violent crime. However, there are some disadvantages as well. Now, many of these disadvantages relate to Croatia in general, which I did actually cover in another video called Don't Invest in Croatian Coastal Real Estate, and I will link this video below. But briefly, let's go through some of them. So buying real estate is actually coming with a lot of restrictions for non-EU, EEA countries, and not being able to buy is pretty bad in the sense that you could be a citizen of another country, and if there's no reciprocal agreement with Croatia, you actually will not be able to buy. And I did cover this in the other video, as I said, on Croatian. Don't buy real estate in Croatian on the Croatian coast. Number 2, again, I talked about high total government debt to GDP. I mentioned also that fraud can be an issue when buying property, so you really need to get yourself a very, very good lawyer. And as well, there's a very complicated tax system. And also, Croatia has a local tax system known as surtax. So in effect, it is a municipal taxes, and these taxes are on top of income tax, and they, depending on where you live, they can range from 0% to 18%. And unfortunately, the surtax rate in Zagreb can reach 18%, which is the highest in the country. And also, Zagreb as well has limited choices in buying. Now, I'll explain this a little bit further. Zagreb was struck by an earthquake in March 2020, and this has lowered demand for older property. So if you do decide to buy in Zagreb, it may be wise to go for a new, or at least a newer property, even if it is more expensive. This, however, means your budget choices are limited, I think, here, and you need to spend that bit more. Now, if you do decide to buy, where should you buy? Now, I've picked 3. Donji Grad, which is the lower town, very lovely area. But if you are looking at new property, it will potentially cost you 4,000 euros per square meter plus, if you're actually lucky enough to find something in this area, because it is quite a small area of Zagreb. Alternatively as well, you could go for Grancho Grad, which is the upper town, where you have more choice and the area is bigger. Nevertheless, you'll be lucky to find any new builds here for under 3,500 euros per square meter. So again, more expensive. But there is a good area called Grancho Du Brava, which is the upper Dubrava area in Zagreb, and it is actually quite popular with expats, and it's much more affordable. Now, this area northeast of the center, you can actually find new property for around 2,000 euros per square meter, so that potentially could be a good option. Now, should you actually invest in Zagreb? Now, what I will say, if you do decide to buy in Croatia, the one place I would buy is Zagreb. Definitely, I think it does give you the best value for money in the whole of Croatia. And that I've said, when you make comparables with other places like Split, Dubrovnik, which are very popular areas of Croatia, it certainly puts Zagreb in an extremely good light. That said, Zagreb would not be my #1 place to invest. I think there are better places to invest in the real estate market in Europe, not least because, as I said, older builds are not very popular, in particular due to the earthquake that happened in March 2020. And really, people in Zagreb are demanding a lot of newer property, and a lot of newer property to be built. So if you do decide to buy here, you are looking at places which are a bit more expensive than older builds, which you can do up conversions and make more money. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you ever so much for watching this video, and I will see you very soon on the next.